wait a minute, dear, for our love again. Lay your hand in mine, let that candle die. Lead me to your side and laugh again. Let me bathe in all your loveliness. I still bathe in all your loveliness. Talk me to our room, tales of time gone by. Tell me how we fell in love again. Let me bask in all your loveliness. I still bask in all your loveliness. Fall into my arms, feel my love's breath. Feed me your charms and love again. Say you're mine alone, sold in heart and soul. Sail me to your door and love again. I still drink in all your loveliness. Let me drown in all your loveliness.
I'm here talking to Cari Burdett, who apparently is in a coffee shop somewhere on the island. So tell me where you are right. Tell me where you are right now, Cari.
Oh, I'm in Glenora. It's a wonderful little community in the Cowichan Valley.
Glenora. I don't even know it. That's amazing. I've lived here all my life. So where is it? Just near Duncan, I guess.
Yeah, it's just outside of Duncan. It's near the little hills in the back there, and there are some fantastic little cafes and sort of eat right from the farm places and horselands, and it's a great little area.
I could probably just do a whole show on things like that. People calling in with their favorite little cafes. So this is really cool. I had no idea we were going to be talking about this. Clearly, you've got your kids off to school and you're just having a little bit of a break. I know your life has been pretty hectic, and you've got 3 kids?
Yes, 3 lovely children.
Yes, one of which is a teenager, and then I know you've got a 5-year-old, because you mentioned putting him or her to bed. And I just thought, gosh, it's such a lot. And then trying to have a career in the midst of all of that. How do you find that?
Well, I'm finding it hard. Also, there's been a recent separation. So what used to be a sort of the give and take of sharing responsibilities is the same way. So trying to find time to rehearse right now is a new reality. Just trying to fit it in. Last night I was rehearsing from about 9 till 11.
At night?
Yeah.
Oh. And you were saying your bedtime's 7, so I don't know if you're being facetious, but you probably hoped it would be 7. It didn't quite work out that way.
Well, the night before I went to bed at about 8:20. But last night I had to rehearse. I hadn't fit it in. I needed to figure out when to fit it in.
when to fit that in, when to fit sleep, and yeah, I know it went well. I'm glad that you're taking care of yourself right now and having a coffee, and we'll just talk about you now.
Wonderful.
It's all about you. We were on the show, I guess it's probably about a year ago. At that time, you were preparing for a concert, and now you're preparing for a concert. So tell me a little bit about what's coming up.
Well, I'm really excited because my background is in opera, as we talked about before, and singing with an orchestra. When you're in an opera, the orchestra's in the pit, and when you do an oratorio or a classical piece, then the orchestra's on stage with you. And I adore singing with orchestras. I sort of feel that's one of the greatest gifts of a lifetime. Each time I do it, I thank all the stars in the heavens and the earth for that opportunity, not knowing when it will happen again. And so the last time it was with the Bach Christmas Oratorio. We actually did the whole thing. It was incredible. And so this time I'm singing with the Souk Philharmonic, Norman Nelson, and it's a wonderful orchestra. And they invited me after hearing my CD release concert last year. They said, "Oh, would you like to be the soloist for the Valentine show?" And I thought, yeah, that's great. And we talked about orchestrating songs from my album. And so it's just a fantastic opportunity, and it's really inspiring me to be able to think about all the diverse ways of presenting material. And that really excites me. So we have 3 pieces from the album that have been orchestrated, and I think that's really it's unusual. It's unique. It's a special occasion, and it's worthy of being celebrated. So I'm really excited.
So I'm going to guess that these songs are love songs. Is that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
This is the CD that you released last year, and I think last time I played a couple of them. Which ones will you be performing this time?
The Piaf medley was arranged for orchestra by Richard Moody, who's been my violinist for a couple of years now. And so he arranged that. And then Adrian Dolan was on the recording project, and he's performed with me a few times in this my winter show. And he orchestrated Loveliness, which is Anne Schaefer's song. She's from Vancouver Island, and it's becoming one of my, I would say, signature pieces. I just love singing it. And to have that orchestrated, a new song, is it's amazing. It's the first time it will have ever been orchestrated. And then he also orchestrated Caruso. And Caruso is one of those songs that Pavarotti and Domingo sing.
Wow.
So we did a slightly diverse, different, or unique version on the album. And Adrian, the master that he is, kept that same flavor for the orchestration. And so it's these are all unique orchestrations for me. And what I'm hoping to do now is just to collect more orchestrations and really start, seeing if I can sing with more orchestras.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you have such an amazing voice. Not everyone can sing with an orchestra because they just would be overpowered or overwhelmed. But I guess with the opera background, it makes you quite uniquely qualified to sing with an orchestra.
Oh, I'm just thrilled. I'm just really thrilled. It feels like, it's already exciting when you're with a 5-piece band or even just a 2-piece band. Just this whole idea of collaboration and opening of the heart. With an orchestra, you are surrounded by all these different sonorities and resonance, and then of course all the individuals who are behind them. So it's it's very special when you finally get to a place in the performance where everybody is sort of breathing and working together. It's just, there's just nothing like it.
That's an interesting way of putting it. So tell me a little bit more about Anne Schaefer.
Oh, she's a good friend of mine now. She's a lovely singer-songwriter in Victoria. I think she's released 2 albums, but I think she has 4, 2 or more underground. And she writes songs that are, in my mind, they bring together a kind of genius of architecture and mastermind sort of composition. They mix a bit of the avant-garde classical with jazz, but they also are more sort of pop, modern folk. So I just really related to her last album, which is called The Waiting Room. And I thought, I needed a mentor and someone to help me move along in my project. I really believe in asking for help and support, because it's hard to do these things alone. So I try to reach out and create a team, and I asked her to be part of my team, and then she said she'd give me this song Loveliness for the album, and it's just I adore it.
Not only the collaboration, but the gift of a song is quite amazing for an artist to be able to have that given to them. I didn't ask you this the last time we talked, but do you actually write some of your own material? Are you on that kind of trajectory, or is that just too much right now?
I just started writing my own music. I've always wanted to. I started writing it when I was working with Anne. Those are my 2 requests. I wanted a bit of support of writing my own stuff and making an album. The album took precedent, but I still started writing songs. But my songs, for some reason, they didn't quite fit the style of this last album. But just recently, I was in Banff at the Banff School of Arts. I was there on a 2-week residency, and the whole time I was focused on my own compositions. And I worked with a pianist composer there, and I wrote I don't know, about I think 6 or 7 different kind of songs, and it was really exciting, and I'm wanting to move more in that direction as well, including my own work in my performances.
Do you think that in that case you would have a reciprocal collaboration with Anne, or would you think about having another person arrange things? Or what do you see in terms of your optimal situation as a songwriter, someone who could arrange things for you?
Well, I'm really enjoying right now working with Adrian and Richard, and I definitely would ask Anne again. I like working with people that I know, but I'm also open to a new collaboration. So one of the pieces that because I come from the classical, but I also come from quite an intensive dive into improvisation. It was sort of like I needed to go to the opposite side of the classical world to sort of explore my own voice and song. And so I used the improv technique to enter, and I still do that, to enter into my songwriting. So what came out of it was I wrote my own poem, just this one piece that I'm thinking about that I wrote at Banff, and it has a mixture, when I sing it, of the classical and the sort of jazz cabaret. So, and I would like to orchestrate that for orchestra. And I'd like to take some of my pieces and that I wrote there and find a way of arranging them. So I think I'm on the trajectory of asking the people that I already know a bit to, because it's quite vulnerable to show your work. In fact, it's scary.
It's your work, and now you're going to go out there and perform it. I mean, it's vulnerable enough for you to be on the stage at all and to be in front of the orchestra. I'm sure there's a lot of issues around that in terms of vulnerability, and then to have it be your own piece as well. It's beyond me as far as how much of yourself you have to put out there.
Yeah, it's risky, but I guess that's what we do as artists. And you're an artist. I mean, you know that dive, that sort of, it's almost as if you can't do it. I mean, if you choose not to do it, you sort of wither, and at least I do. I started just to wither away. If I pretend that I sort of can't live without creation or collaboration, then I sort of start to go into the descent into the dark
Right.
abyss. So I need
Right. Yeah.
to believe that it's, that it's okay. It's okay to take risks. I mean, that's what I teach. I mean,
As a mom, regardless of what our relationship is with our partner, we're just constantly thinking about our family. It's the way it is. We don't have to be completely maternal people. It just happens to be that we want to make sure our kids are fed and that they get to school on time and all that sort of thing. And for an artist, I think it was Alice Munro, but it doesn't really matter who said it. They do a lot of time just standing at the window and looking out, just spending time in contemplation. It's difficult because you're actually taking your time and kind of synthesizing it or squeezing it into what you're doing right now, having coffee or whatever it is. And that's very difficult to do in terms of being an artist, to just say, now's the time when we create, So
it is, but it's also like, I don't know. I think sometimes because those moments are so precious. I guess I have to create that, but I do often think about those artists that don't have the children or the this or the that, and I think, wow, like, that's amazing that they chose that they created that, they trusted in their art enough to create that, and so there's no comparing. I mean, I just, it's different, and of course, with 3 children or 8 children or 5 children, 2 children or 1 child, even, like, just finding that space. I think it's challenging me to really stand up and say what's important in my life and how can I make space for the things that are important. And so it's challenging me to ask myself that question. And of course, it all has to do with balance. Like you say, I probably do need to stand at the window a little bit longer sometimes and just, allow myself to sit in front of the fire and not only do that when I'm sick, but, give myself that space. And it's, that's probably the dilemma of everybody out there, trying to find the balance of their passion and their health and their family and their position in the society, how much service we give. I mean, I do a lot of service work too. And yeah, it's but it's probably what also gives us the rich, dynamic stories that we have.
Well, that's the interesting question. As a writer, I find that too. There's so much there, and I carry around this little recorder with me and make notes. Even now that I don't have kids at home, it doesn't really make any difference because it's been so many years of being out of practice, I guess, of just sitting down and doing the work. Sometimes it's a distraction, that we go, oh, wow, I've got writer's block, so I'll just go make something to eat for my kids. So it's an interesting question as to whether we're more or less productive when we have these other things in our lives and the balance, because I know a lot of artists that just have to dedicate themselves without any distraction whatsoever to really get to the heart of their creativity. So I find this part of the conversation interesting. What would you say to moms out there that are feeling either that they're shutting down and withering, as you mentioned, or in my case, sometimes I felt like I was going to burst? What kinds of things have you found really effective that you can share with people?
Well, I started to listen when I was jealous, for instance. I kind of woke me up. Why am I jealous of this person or that person in terms of their creativity? And I thought, what's stopping me? It just means that there's a part of me that's not allowing myself to perform. And then I had to sort of let go of the whole, I'm not going to be the world's greatest this or that, and that's okay. It was sort of giving myself permission to follow my joy and my passion at whatever level. It didn't matter the level. It had to do with me following my passion. And then I had to give myself permission to go away, at least one weekend a year, and then one day here or 2 hours here, or sort of, for me, if I'm at home, I'll do the laundry and wash the dishes and do things. I need to give myself permission to leave my home and go work with a pianist, for instance. Like, give myself permission, whatever my passion is, to go and invest in those 2 or 3 hours or 1 hour away from, and that sort of began the reawakening for me. I would drive to Victoria once a week, and it was sort of what I called my sanity. It helped me regain trust in myself as an artist and a person that wasn't just it wasn't just a mother. I mean, a mother is amazing, and you can be fully into being a mother, but there was a part of me that was really needing to sing. So I needed to honor that, and how could I fit that in, So I think I was there for maybe 4 or 5 hours a week, just drove down, sang, and came home, and really, had to ask for help and support, and I'm grateful for all the people that really, really supported me on all these occasions, and it does really take a village, I think, too.
Well, that's a really interesting thing, and I there's so many differences between your generation and, say, we've talked about Sylvia Hosey and some of the people that are our mentors from another generation. I'm sort of in between, I think, but for your generation, it's easier to say, I need this, or it's more acceptable, I suppose. Maybe it's not easier, but it's something that we have acknowledged as being okay for women to say, I need something. And it's still difficult, I'm sure, as far as a lot of different issues around being a mom, but also just being a woman at all. Yeah. And then, we look back and we see these people that have had to push through so many different things, and they've managed to be good moms, or great moms. And they, have all these things going, and you think, oh gosh, it was just a breeze for them. So I think this is a really interesting conversation to have, because we talk about motherhood in a vacuum, but we don't necessarily talk about being artists.
That's right.
And because it seems somehow to, as you say, I don't want to be just a mom. We're not denigrating motherhood in any way, but saying if you're an artist, it has to be expressed in some way. And how can we do that and not appear to be putting ourselves first, or whatever the stereotype might be? I don't know where I'm going with that, except to say it seems to be okay now to put ourselves first.
Very interesting how many people are constantly telling me that, I might not be able to do this or that because of my new situation, or because of my health, or because of my family or my kids. And when they tell me that, I'm like, you're right. I'm not going to sort of negate all my responsibilities and my choices that I've made so far. But I realize for me to be able to have joy in my life and be honest of who I am and really honor my gift, I need to make space. I want to make space. Maybe need isn't the right word, but I want to make space, and I want to find that balance, and I will work for it, and even if it's just a few hours here or there, but it also means that I can't expect perfection in that sense, like I might have in the past or wanted. And not that I ever attained it, but I think when I was younger and you're going to classical music school, I mean, there's this strict striving for doing your best. And I still want to do my best. That's not what I'm saying, but I have to accept that I don't have 5 hours or 8 hours a day to practice right now. And that doesn't mean I don't need to do it. And I have a lot of conversations with other artists that say, if I can't do my 8 hours, I'm not going to do it. And I wonder if that's, if that's true for them, or if there's a way for people to accept they can do less and still have the joy. Some people say they can't. Some people say they need to do it all or nothing. And for me, that didn't work. So.
Interesting. That's really, yeah, I know lots of people that do say that, or they wait until, the kids are a certain age or certain situations. And it seems always to revolve around the kids. Ultimately, I think that it has to do with relationship, and without disclosing our own personal situations too much, I wonder how much of it has to do with how much pressure these things have in terms of our relationships with our partners and even with our extended family. Is it kids, or is it our art that has the most impact on our relationships, do you think?
Oh, that's a huge question, Jody.
Well, I'm here for the huge questions, but I'm quite interested.
It's a great question. Honestly, the father of my children really has supported me in that, in terms of me going away and taking time off. So I think that without that support, and I've had support from my family for sure, big time. I need to honor that. That's got to be totally out there in the clear. I needed to though really stand up for that. But I spent many 14, 16-hour days. I mean, because not only am I just trying to do my singing, like I have a business too, where you have to pay the bills. So I have to accept that I'm not making the money from my passion, my singing, performing. I'm not paying all my bills from that. Perhaps I'd like to, but that's not happening. So so there's the balance of all those pieces, and definitely the relationship plays a big part, definitely.
Mm-hmm. And I think this is just to encourage others out there that if they are experiencing some of these crushing sometimes issues around how their art or their creativity blends with their, all these other relationships, because relationships, of course, are the foundation to anything. Even with music, we have a relationship to that. So for some people, that's enough, and that's all they can handle. You've gone on to branch out and have relationships with other people, including your children, of course, which would be the primary one that you're dealing with right now. So I find it really fascinating, and I really appreciate your candor, because I think particularly not enough women speak to each other about this, because perhaps they are feeling trapped and maybe a little bit jealous, and I appreciate you being honest about that too, because we often don't like to admit these things, but they can.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think that that it's been a life source for me, because people have said, how can you fit this in? And I think it's kept me alive in many ways. It's and not to be so dramatic, but I am, I guess, dramatic in that sense too. I can't sort of pretend that it's not a lifeline. It's not important, because when I do, then I can't be my full person. So all these other relationships that I've invested in have been lifelines too. They're very, very important. And honoring that jealousy. I mean, I remember it was when I first moved here about 10 years ago, I saw a poster with Misha singing. She's this fantastic opera singer.
Mm-hmm.
And she was singing the Mahler Rückert Lieder. And those are my favorite Rückert. Those are the favorite Mahler songs that I studied at university and in grad school. And I just sort of wept every time I saw this poster. And I thought, Cari, this is ridiculous. I mean, what's going on? And I had to sort of say, well, this is something that I need to really look at and honor, and say, where can I find a place for this piece of who I am in my life now? And it's taken a long time. It doesn't happen overnight.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not sure if we ever really get there completely. I'm pretty sure that if we were to make it at the top of our game, at whatever that game is, we would still have a sense that there was somebody else who was better, of course. I guess I would like to think that we aspire to them.
Sure. I don't feel like I'm at the top of my game. I just feel like I'm trying to make space to honor that part of me. I've had to give up a lot of those sort of. I mean, I think it. I heard on the other day another singer up Island say, she just sort of put it out there like, oh gosh, today's the day I really feel like, why am I doing this? There's so many other great singers, and I think that question enters into. I can imagine it enters into every artist. Like, why? If you start comparing, then there's no chance.
Well, I think that's true of everything, and it's something that I hope that I inculcated with my kids. I made a point of having it be their day and say, you know what, your birthday will come up, but we're not comparing. We're just going to enjoy the other person. I'm not sure how good I was at getting that across, or even being an example of it, but it's something I believe very strongly, that it's that thing of comparison that will keep us back as artists and as human beings. It'll keep us from doing our best when we start comparing ourselves.
There's definitely a difference between comparing and being jealous and that judgment to being inspired and invigorated and awakened and daring to ask to collaborate with someone that you really are excited about, or learning from them, or, investigating where their studies were or why you like them.
Right.
There's really, it's just sort of a shift in perception, and we can get trapped either way, but it's really, I think it's really exciting to sort of take that leap sometimes and be brave and ask to collaborate.
To just be excited about somebody else's success, the birthday party being an example of that. Making that shift, and I don't know how easy it is for any human being, particularly a child, to make the shift to where they're excited for the other person. If we can have that sense as creators of being excited that somebody else has fulfilled their need to create, it is a huge shift to make, because it doesn't have to do with us in that sense. This is where community, I guess, really comes in, because in communities underneath it all, we know who our neighbors are and we have a trust. It's a very difficult thing for you because you're living in a place that you didn't grow up in. It's a community that you've had to develop around yourself in many ways.
Yeah, well, I actually did grow up not too far from here.
Right.
I grew up in Victoria, and so I do have some people there that, but actually they're probably all gone. So you're kind of right about that. And then I left, and the people though that I did most of my training with are not here. So, but it is a rural community, and that makes it very hard to sometimes. I mean, sometimes it's a blessing, and then sometimes it makes it a real stretch to keep connections with other artists and keep tabs of a forward motion. So it's like gotta keep it going and keep creating things. I think we can't expect things to happen for us. You gotta look ahead and see what stone can I overturn, or what doorway can I open, or do I want to? And that's kind of where I'm at right now.
I'm always really fascinated to talk to women who are doing this sort of thing, and you may not be at the top of your game, but you're certainly actively involved in actually moving forward with your career and singing with an orchestra. I mean, that's a pretty important piece to this whole thing, is that you are doing things that are not just, well, I shouldn't say that, playing at the cafe around the corner, but there are people that play at the cafe around the corner, and that's amazing too. I'm just saying that it's a pretty big thing for you to, as you say, be vulnerable like this in the midst of all of the different things that are happening in your life, and I'm amazed at your ability to do that. Thanks so much for sharing so much of the process, because this is part of what I try to do on Character Driven, is get the story behind the people and to help others who are feeling like they're the only ones on an island, in more ways than one. And then on top of it, we want to let our listeners know about the actual event itself. So tell me about the event that's taking place this Sunday, right, the 13th?
Yeah, no, it's the 14th, Sunday the 14th, Valentine's Day.
Oh, gosh, I got my days wrong. Yes, okay, so Valentine's Day, here we go.
I think it's at 2:30. It's a souk, and if you go to Soukphil, so SOOKEPHIL.ca, then you can get the tickets there. And it's kind of a unique, fun event where they actually serve tea in those lovely teacups, the China teacups, to all, however many people can fit in there, and little cookies and things, and so you have a tea party while you're watching the orchestra and all the love songs, and it's a fun event.
What a lovely way to spend Valentine's Day. So if you have a sweetie that you really want to impress, and that you want to have a very romantic event that's quite unique in its own way, I think this is a great opportunity to do that, and it's not that far. Of course, I'm up island, but we don't live that far away from each other. So you get the drive, and maybe you could go to Point No Point afterwards, and down to the beach. And I can think of all sorts of things that can go along with that. Thank you so much for being part of Character Driven today. I really appreciate your candor again and your talents, and I'm going to play some of your music. Now, which piece would you like me to play to end off the interview? Which one would be appropriate, do you think?
How about Te Voglio Bene, I Wish You Well from Caruso. And thank you so much for having me again. I really enjoy talking with you too, and I look forward to meeting you in person one day.
When I do this, I feel like I get to know people because I'm asking such nosy questions. But I know we have people in common that we know, and we have grown up on this island. And so there's so much that we share in terms of our interests and background. And so I do feel like I know you. And we will get to know each other someday, maybe over tea or coffee in a little cafe somewhere.
Yeah. Take good care.
Thank you so much, Cari. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Qui dove il mare luccica e tira forte il vento, su una vecchia terrazza davanti al golfo di Sorrento, un uomo abbraccia una ragazza dopo che aveva pianto, poi si schiarisce la voce e ricomincia il canto. Te voglio bene assai, ma tanto bene sai, è una catena ormai che scioglie il sangue di te bene sai. Vide le luci in mezzo al mare, penso alle notti là in America, ma erano solo le lampade e la bianca scia di un'elica. Sentì il dolore nella musica, si alzò dal pianoforte, ma quando vide la luna uscire da una nuvola, gli sembrò più dolce anche la morte. Guardò negli occhi la ragazza, quegli occhi verdi come il mare, poi all'improvviso uscì una lacrima e lui credette di affogare. Te voglio bene assai, ma tanto bene sai, è una catena ormai che scioglie il sangue di te bene sai. Potenza della lirica, dove ogni dramma è un falso, che con un po' di trucco e con la mimica puoi diventare un altro. Due occhi che ti guardano così vicini e veri, ti fanno scordare le parole e confondono i pensieri. Così divento tutto piccolo, anche le notti là in America. Ti volti e vedi la tua vita come la bianca scia di un'elica. Ma sì, è la vita che finisce, ma lui non ci pensò poi tanto, anzi si sentì quasi felice e ricominciò il suo canto. Te voglio bene assai, tanto tanto bene sai, è una catena ormai che scioglie il sangue di te bene Non, rien de rien. Non, je ne regrette rien, ni le bien qu'on m'a fait, ni le mal, tout à m'est bien égal. Non, rien de rien. Non, je ne regrette rien. C'est payé, balayé, oublié. Je me fous du passé. Avec mes souvenirs, j'ai allumé le feu. Mes chagrins, mes plaisirs, je n'ai plus besoin de balayer les amours avec leur tremolo, balayer pour toujours, je repars à zéro. Des yeux qui font baisser les miens, un rire qui se perd sur sa bouche. Voilà le portrait sans retouche de l'homme auquel j'appartiens. Quand il me prend dans ses bras, il me parle tout bas, je vois la vie en rose. Il me dit des mots d'amour, des mots de tous les jours, et ça me fait quelque chose. Il est entré dans mon cœur une part de bonheur dont je connais la cause. C'est lui pour moi, moi pour lui dans la vie. Il me l'a dit, là j'aurai pour la vie. Et dès que je l'aperçois, alors je sens en moi mon cœur qui bat. Alors je sens en moi mon cœur qui bat. Tears and flows of angel hair, and ice cream castles in the air, and feather canyons everywhere. I've looked at clouds that way, but now they only block the sun. They rain and snow on everyone. So many things I would have done, but clouds got in my way. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's cloud illusions I recall. I really don't know clouds, don't know clouds at all. Moons and Junes and Ferris wheels, the dizzy dancing way you feel as every fairy tale comes real. I've looked at love that way, but now it's just another show. You leave 'em laughing when you go, and if you care, don't let them know. Don't give yourself away. I've looked at love from both sides now, from give and take, and still somehow it's love illusions I recall. I really don't know love at all. Tears and fears of feeling proud to say I love you right out loud. Dreams and schemes and circus crowds, I've looked at life that way, but now old friends are acting strange. They shake their heads, they say I've changed. Well, something's lost and something's gained in living every day. I've looked at life from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's life illusions I recall. I really don't know life at all. love me, love me, say you do. Let me fly away with you, for my love is like the wind, and wild is the wind, wild is the wind. Give me more than one caress, satisfy this hungriness. Let the wind blow through your heart, and wild is the wind, wild is the wind. You touch me, I hear the sound of mandolins. You kiss me, with your kiss my life begins. You're spring to me, all things to me. Don't you know you're life itself? Like a leaf clings to a tree. Oh, my darling, oh, cling to me, for we're creatures of the wind, and wild is the wind, wild